The Industrial Revolution is most commonly associated with the United States, England, and France. But the fact of the matter is that the Industrial Revolution had global effects. This video will cover some of the forgotten areas such as Egypt, Brazil, South America, and others. First off, let's look at Japan. The Mitsubishi Nagasaki shipyard in Tokyo is made up of four main components: the guest house, number 3 dry docks, the giant cantilever crane, and the former pattern shop. All four components relate to when the shipyard and its facilities were greatly expanded to cope with the huge need of expansion in shipbuilding capacity. The number 3 dry dock was constructed between 1901 and 1905, and its intention was to be able to build and repair some of the world's largest ships. The dock is the only dry dock still in operation at the shipyard today. The giant cantilever crane was the first electric-powered crane of its type in Japan and was imported from Scotland in 1909. It is the oldest surviving one in operation in the world and can still lift a load of 150 tons. The guest house was originally designed as a residence of the shipyard's director. Since its completion in 1904, it has been used as a guest house to entertain important clients of the shipyard. The pattern shop was the first one completed. It was finished in 1898 to produce wooden patterns for the casting process, and is the oldest factory building in the shipyard. Another essential aspect of industrialization is transportation. Sao Paulo in Brazil is an example of this. Air transportation skyrocketed in this country due to the need to transport products and raw materials throughout the nation. Making its debut in 1919, Campo de Marte was the first airport constructed in Brazil. Although it was meant for military practice and shipping use, by the mid-1920s it was taking on passenger flights. Many other cities quickly followed Sao Paulo. For example, Rio de Janeiro, just an hour away, opened up their first airport in 1923. Next, we will be talking about the Sentech Tower, located in the suburbs of Brixton in Johannesburg, South Africa. The construction was commenced in 1961 and was completed in 1962. It was designed by Ove, Arab & Partners. It was built by Christiani and Nielsen SA. Upon completion, it was the tallest man-made structure in Africa. 85 feet in dimension, featuring a 778 feet tall cantilever made out of reinforced concrete that can withstand up to 120-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Moving to Cairo in 1869, Khedive Ismay declared that an opera house be built to celebrate the completion of the Suez Canal, which became known as the Khedivial Opera House. The opera house, which was constructed in only 6 months, was made to the design of the two Italian architects, Avascani and Rossi, and was styled after the Teatro La Scala of Milan. Later on, it became known as the Royal Opera House, after King Farouk was deposed, and eventually it was just known as the Opera House. Thanks to proper urban planning, the opera was conceived to enhance the culture rather than confine it within the opera premises. Across the street was the Esbaquier Park, designed by French landscaper Varlet Duchamp, to mimic parks that would be seen in Paris, and surrounding the opera house were many restaurants and a casino. Unfortunately, the building caught on fire in 1971, and due to its all-wooden construction, the entire building was destroyed. The square that the Khedivial Opera House is still called Opera Square, and the few artifacts saved from the fire are now kept at the Opera House in Juvera. After the fire, the site of the Opera House was turned into a multi-story parking garage. Across the Atlantic is the Palacio de Curo de Mexico. This early 20th century structure was designed by the Italian architect Adamo Borri. It incorporates a very diverse range of architectural styles. The building was constructed using steel beams and a concrete and steel foundation, which ensured its longevity despite several earthquakes that demolished many of the surrounding buildings. The foundation was created in New York City and shipped to Mexico. It consisted of a gargantuan steel grid encased in concrete. And finally, the iron bridge constructed between 1777 and 1781 in Shropshire, England, played a major role as the symbol of the start of the Industrial Revolution. During the 18th century, their area was full of raw materials such as coal and iron ore. In fact, Shropshire had more iron factories in a 2-mile radius than any other city in the world. The idea for the bridge came about when a group of businessmen came together to solve the problem that there was no bridge to cross the River Severn from Shropshire, which made transporting the immense amount of raw materials coming out of the city very difficult. The treasurer of the project, Abraham Darby III, hired Thomas Pritchard from a local town of Shrewsbury to design the bridge. The industrial marvel stretched 100 feet in length and featured 5 arch ribs. Unfortunately, Pritchard died before he was able to see his design become reality. Many believed this to be the symbol of the start of the Industrial Revolution because of its purpose and the fact that it was the first cast iron bridge the world had ever seen.